Hey everyone, welcome to the Mad Insurance Show. This is episode 18 of the Mad Insurance Show, Making a Difference in Insurance. Everybody, I've got a special guest today. I'm really excited about who we have joining us for the show today. And we've got another episode. I'll kick off some breaking news in a minute too that we might visit about briefly in the show. And if not, I'll probably have plenty to talk about on next week's show on that breaking development news. But I just want to give everybody a reminder, if this is the first time you're listening to the show or watching us online, I'm your host, Justin Holland, with Texas State Insurance Services and Palmetto Life Group. Remember, Texas State Insurance Services helps out with all your individual health insurance needs, Medicare, some employee benefits, and even travel, dental, some of the ancillary items out there. If you need any help with that, take note of our phone number, 210-880-5316. Or you can visit us online at txstateinsurance.com. Remember, Palmetto Life Group is our other division we created for life, long-term care planning, Social Security analysis. I'm a registered Social Security analysis here in town. There's only about 4 or 5 of us that are registered RSSAs. And then we also help with auto, home, umbrella, commercial products that we're really excited that we brought into the Palmetto Life Group lineup. It just was a matter of time for us to be able to service our clients with that. You can reach out to us at that phone number at 877-357-5316 or visit us online at palmettolifegroup.com. So without further ado, I want to briefly talk about the company and the representative from that company that is going to join us. And we're going to talk about PEOs and what they can do for your business. And I think we've got some really important topics that are going to resonate with small business owners, up-and-coming business owners, and even the management, if you're listening to this, on what y'all need to consider when looking into a PEO. It's not a right fit for everybody, but it is the right fit for a lot of people. So I want to make sure that we dive into that with the show, so I'm excited about that. But Engage PEO is a national professional employer organization that handles everything HR, payroll, benefits, risk, compliance, so your business can focus on, what you do best. You focus on your business and have them take care of that back end. What sets Engage apart from its HR consulting model? Every client works directly with a licensed employment attorney. They understand the employment law and how it plays out in real workspace situations. So that's vital. That can be critical for a company to have that backup. That means practical guidance, faster answers, and fewer compliance surprises with Engage. Engage also works closely with insurance brokers like myself. That's why I've got them here, because we actually block and tackle where it's a good fit for our clients. Other referral partners are who they can work with on protecting client relationships, high-touch HR support, and growing their organizations. If you want to learn more about Engage, you can go to engagepeo.com, or you can contact Blanca Aboud, the Vice President of Sales with Engage, who's joining me on the entire show today. And she'd love to help you out. You can find her on LinkedIn. You can probably just Google the PEO lady, and you'll find Blanca on there. But without further ado, Blanca, let's dive in. I cannot thank you enough for joining me on the show today. I'm excited. I think we're going to have some fun visiting about your industry, my industry, and hopefully provide some value to our listeners in the audience that are either on the radio or on the YouTube show.
Absolutely.
Talk to me, Blanca. How long have you been in the business?
Hi.
What are you doing?
Well, thank you for having me,
us.
Justin.
You got it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Blanca Aboud. I am the Vice President of Sales with Engage PEO, and I predominantly manage the Texas market. I focus on the great state of Texas. I've been in the industry for 15 years now, and probably going to retire in PEO. So this is my passion. This is what I enjoy doing, and I spend a lot of my time educating on what is a PEO, because since I work in, kind of Midwest, central states, and even some of the southern states, PEO is not really known, or there's a lack of education on the PEO industry. So a lot of what I do is educating on our industry.
Very cool. So you and I met because you were actually calling on one of my clients.
Yes. Yep.
And this is what it's all about, though, Blanca, is building up that ferocious loyalty with your clients. And you had reached out to me and said, hey, listen, these guys really like what y'all are doing. I got to learn what's the secret sauce. What are y'all doing? And we've built up that relationship and friendship since then.
Hmm.
That's been really cool,
Yes.
especially having sidelines within the industry. Because I will tell you, I was venting with you here in the studio in the lobby. It was a tough year for us in the benefits sector, and it
Yes, it
wasn't
was.
just employee benefits; it was the Medicare, individual health. There's a lot of chaos out there. So when we've got somebody that we can block and tackle with in the industry, that makes it really nice
Absolutely.
off of that as well. But I think a lot of people that are on the show here, okay, great, Justin. Hello, Blanca. What is a PEO? Let's kind of dive into that, and then you and I will compartmentalize, so to speak,
Absolutely.
all the aspects of that and the value it brings.
Definitely. So PEO stands for Professional Employer Organization. So conceptually, we are a professional employer. We help companies employ their employees together. So we become a partner and we become what's called a co-employer. So we have skin in the game when it comes to their employees, and we absorb and kind of assume that risk and liability in terms of payroll, HR, compliance, employee benefits, and workers' compensation insurance. So when we partner with these companies, the employer then becomes part of a larger group. So think about it as a pool, right? Because
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's a risk pool where that risk is then spread out through a larger group.
Okay.
So a lot of times your small and mid-sized businesses are, getting insurance traditionally through the open market and are facing high renewals or uncompetitive rates, unaffordable rates, or maybe not able to get insurance at all. Being part of a PEO allows those companies then to be looked at as a larger group where they gain economies of scale, they gain buying power through the risk pool. I always like to give some analogies to kind of
I
visualize
love
it. I
analogies.
love
Bring it
analogies.
on.
Okay. Here's the two that I use that really gives you a good visual. So think about having an Olympic sized pool versus a little kiddie pool, right? What is the risk if somebody potentially has a catastrophic claim or something, a large claim, right? In a Olympic sized pool, that risk is kind of spread out. So imagine throwing a rock into a big pool.
Yeah.
The ripple effect is a lot smaller than if you were to throw that big rock into a small pool where all the water may come
Yeah.
out of the pool,
The chaos
right?
that comes out
Yeah,
of that.
exactly. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is kind of, you're shopping at HEB for your produce versus going to Costco. Costco is going to be your wholesale. You're going to get buying power. You're going to get everything that you need. One-stop shop. That's kind of what we do. We're going to be your one-stop shop for employer resources, and you're going to get that wholesale pricing.
Very cool. So, I mean, y'all are that is a true partnership arrangement if
Yes,
you think about that. I mean,
absolutely.
you're embedded into that. So, it's and I put some notes here that I wanted to review with us as well. You're giving us a definition of what it looks like. The co-employment model, it differs, from having a broker or a payroll company. The risk management component. It seems like a PEO, I mean, just brings all that together. And can you kind of give us maybe an example of where that's come to light, where that's helped? Because having a lot of companies, Blanca, just they want to have a one-stop shop, get it all taken care of, whether they grow into that with their business or grow out of that need for the business. Can you give me some insight, that model, how it differs from just having a standalone broker, standalone payroll company, and the management component?
Yeah, so the difference is called multi-vendor versus all-in-one. So most companies, when they start their company, they're going to start with a payroll vendor, and then they may then go on and get a commercial broker, a benefits broker. They're going to maybe have a employment attorney on staff or on retainer. They're going to maybe have a compliance officer on board as well. So all of those are different silos, different cost centers, and none of them really talk to each other, right? So your commercial broker probably won't call your benefits broker and say, hey, what's going on? Or vice versa, your payroll person isn't really going to call the benefits broker. So in that method of operating your business is very disconnected. Most of the time, we see multiple platforms, multiple softwares as far as technology goes that are running
Yeah.
all these different areas. So we see a lot of disconnect. We see a lot of errors occurring. There's a lot of manual work that occurs when you have everything siloed that way. But it is kind of known of how a business starts, right? That's kind of very traditional way to start your business. Now, with more progressive thinking and business owners understanding a PEO, they're starting their business already on the all-in-one solution. With a PEO, we will take all of those vendors and consolidate them. Therefore, we're streamlining operations, we're automating processes, and we are becoming leaner, more efficient in our operations by doing the all-in-one solution.
Okay, cool. And it's not just, the broker aspect or the payroll. It could be the financial products, the retirement, all of that as well. And I mean, the fact that you could have the legal component on that risk management part is huge. And I'm sure, I mean, y'all need to utilize that. I'm sure you've had plenty of clients that have had to utilize that.
Yeah, it actually has helped a lot of clients because that is our differentiator. Some clients, when I meet with them initially, they have somebody on retainer, right? So we're already alleviating that cost,
Yeah.
plus the cost of potentially facing a large lawsuit or litigation, and not knowing how to handle that, not having somebody that can guide you through those issues. And most of the time when that happens, it's a bad
Yeah.
situation. And you don't want that to happen in your business, but you should be prepared for it if it does. So Engage gives you the highest level of protection through an employment attorney that's well versed in employee litigation.
Okay.
And really, that's the highest level of HR that you can have in your company.
I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, you got to
There's
be a
the
really large company to have in-house counsel. If
right.
you think about
Most
it.
people
So
don't.
yeah, most people don't. They're out there. Those companies exist. But that is a really cool component of what y'all have available with that. The services, the expertise that y'all can bring on payroll. I don't ever know if y'all assist with tax filing. I would imagine some of the ACA, the Affordable Care Act reporting and stuff like that. A lot of that's gone digital. You guys seem to be really plugged in to a digital format. I mean, I still have plenty of clients that are using paper applications,
Yes.
or we have some stragglers. We've had to convert almost all of them. But the technology component that y'all bring to the table with Engage, I'm sure is huge for the payroll, the HR compliance, workman comp claims, all of that stuff. Can you give us an idea on the technology?
Yeah. So the technology is called HRIS. So it's a Human Resources Information System. And that's really what brings everything together. It's a one single sign-on platform that provides reporting for your workers' comp. It eliminates the workers' comp audit. It also provides your onboarding and offboarding for your employees.
Another
So it
question I had for you.
it
Yeah.
actually follows the employee life cycle. So when you all the way from application, because it does include an applicant tracking system as well.
Okay.
So it starts right at application to interview to offer letter to then your onboarding and then your benefits enrollment. Okay. And then what then happens after that, whether it's development of the employee, whether it's then coaching of the employee, all of that is tracked in the HRIS system. And then offboarding, right, would then be your COBRA compliance. And then anything happening after offboarding, like state unemployment, things like that. So it follows the employee all the way through. And then you mentioned compliance. There's so many pieces of compliance that we now
Yeah, there
have
are.
streamlined. And that's one of the reasons why clients come to us is because they're scared. They're scared. They don't know if they're compliant. They don't know if they're doing it the right way. I recently brought on a client that was very, very scared. And one of the things he wanted to do was an I-9 audit. And now everything is electronic on the I-9 audit. We have the I-9 form completely
Very cool.
electronic as well as the approval. And then we're able to provide that information to them should they be audited, right? So all those type of different compliance is what we handle. Another big one is your FLSA audit or
Oh yeah,
Department of Labor audit. There's so many audits that are
it's exhausting.
it really is exhausting, but there's so many things that can happen. Having that one single platform where you log in and you have every report you need, you have all the information at your fingertips. It's all cloud based, it's not server based,
Yeah.
right? So you're not tied to a server, you're not tied to a computer. You can use it on your phone, you can be mobile with it. Having that freedom, right? And having that technology at your fingertips is amazing for employers. And a lot of times, Justin, it's a technology that employers cannot afford on their own,
Yeah.
right? As a small, mid-sized business, this technology costs thousands of dollars.
That's where your
Yes.
cluster of everybody
Yes.
coming in
Exactly.
lowers that cost down
Right.
exceptionally lower. Okay,
Exactly.
very cool. Now the compliance piece, I mean, we get updates all the time in the industry. I'm sure your inbox gets flooded with all the compliance updates and everything. So, I mean, if it overwhelms us and we're in the industry, can you imagine, being a small business owner and having to worry about all these reporting documents with the Affordable Care Act? Not even payroll, the I-9, I mean, I didn't even think of that. You're right. I mean, that gets audited as well.
Mhm.
So, totally get that. This is a introduction to the show. Yeah, I'm your host, Justin Holland, with the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. Got a very special guest with us, Blanca Aboud with Engage PEO. Engage PEO is a national professional employer organization, and we're talking everything PEO on this show. So we're glad that you tuned in. Again, Texas State Insurance Services is our brokerage. If you need any help with insurance options, 210 880 5316. Or if anything in this discussion piques your interest on the PEO aspect of it, reach out to Blanca online. You can go to engagepeo.com or just literally just Google the PEO lady, Blanca Abood. She's really got a good tagline there that she's used and developed over the years, and there's no doubt she's providing some value regarding PEOs. But we kicked off the show just to talk about what is a PEO, some of the dynamics off of that. We've talked about some of the technology pieces, and how that can help with your reporting. I'm curious, workman's comp is a big deal. We've got access to that through a PEO, benefits procurement, recruiting support. Can you give a little feedback on the workman's comp component,
Absolutely.
if there's something you think that's important there, and then recruiting support, bringing in and intaking employees. How does that look like for the PEO, or at least
So,
engage?
yeah, so workers' compensation is required by law when you are working with a PEO. Now, in the great state of Texas, workers' compensation insurance is not required. It's the only state that does not require companies to operate and they don't have to have workers' comp to operate.
I didn't realize it was the only
The
state.
only state.
Wow.
Yes, we're the wild, wild west over here. You can self-insure on workers' comp in Texas. You can also buy what's called an owner-occ policy, which I've been seeing them less and less, but basically it's almost like a partial self-insured workers' comp policy that has higher deductibles.
Okay.
Where workers' comp is going to be fully insured. A lot of companies have the misconception that it's very expensive, they can't afford it, but really what they can't afford is a potential catastrophic accident. When an employee passes away, an employee has a major accident at work and they're not covered. What do they do in that situation? So, workers' compensation is going to be your safety net, basically, in the event that something happens to one of your employees at work. That's the coverage that is going to help provide, pay their any unpaid wages, pay their medical bills, and also give you support should you then be sued for that workplace injury
Got it.
and now be liable for the workplace injury because you had an unsafe work environment. Also, workers' comp comes with risk management and protection that helps you develop a safer workplace, helps you develop safety protocols and procedures. And so, a lot of times, I deal with a lot of blue collar industries, right? Warehousing, your logistics company, your plumbing, your HVAC. They're going on roofs. They have forklifts. There's a lot of risk that you see. I recently brought on a large quarry where they're
Very cool.
cutting stone, and there's a lot of risk that's going on in some of these companies. And the main priority is safety, making sure that there isn't a fatality, making sure that your employees are working safely, that they have the proper gear, the proper protection equipment, right? The PPE equipment. Those are the things that we bring forth as a solution when you purchase workers' comp from us. You're going to get not only workers' comp, you're going to get risk and safety. You're going to get a safety officer. You're going to get safety trainings because our goal is for you not to have any claims,
Yeah.
right? So when you talk about workers' comp, you're really talking about risk and safety in your business.
Okay, cool. So that's great detail on workman's comp, which can be overwhelming for anybody
Yes.
when you're first having to engage with your business or taking
Yes.
over a business, whatever it could be. How about retention? Well, maybe not. Well, I think retention has something to do with onboarding, bringing employees in.
Yeah.
If you fumble that at the beginning, it can be difficult not only just for the company but for the employee that you work so hard to get on board with the team. Can we talk about onboard?
Yeah, and I think you hit it like you hit the nail right on the head when you said overwhelming. All of these topics that we're talking about and the areas that we cover are overwhelming for a business owner. If you are a business owner that's wearing multiple hats or you're a startup or you really just don't know what you're doing, all of these things that we're going to talk about could be overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And hiring is one of them. A lot of companies are struggling to hire the right talent, to recruit the right people. I get calls and emails and text messages on a daily. I'm looking for this type of person. I'm looking for this candidate. People don't know how to attract the right talent. So it starts all the way from, believe it or not, your talent strategy. What are you doing to attract the talent? And then it goes right into your benefit strategy. Do you have the right benefits to attract and retain that talent? Um, Lastly, then, yes, the technology piece would be involved in the onboarding process. Our technology offers the employee an electronic offer letter that they sign. It then gives them a link that says, "Congratulations, you are now part of this team. Click this link to complete your onboarding paperwork."
Very cool.
All on their mobile phone, computer, laptop, whatever mobile device of your preference. And then it walks them through electronically, seamlessly through every single piece of compliant employer documentation. And it's so important when we talk about this onboarding process because I deal with a lot of multi-state. I know we focus on Texas because we live in Texas, but I work with a lot of multi-state companies that maybe are headquartered here in Texas,
Yeah.
but may have employees in California or New York, which are employee friendly states, right? So there's a lot more compliance that's involved. So those type of onboardings are going to entail specific documentation for that state. Some states require specific training when an employee is onboarded.
Yeah.
So, like California requires sexual harassment training upon onboarding, right? So we are able to customize the onboarding experience
Yeah.
per state, which is amazing.
So I want to
Just that
chime
in
in on that
itself.
for a minute because you're bringing up a great point
Yeah.
on having hey, docile in Texas. However, when we got through COVID, I had clients that were hiring people from all over the country,
Mhm.
and that was a reminder because we've really just focused in our backyard. But once we had to deal with that, Blanca, you've got some states that are going to require you to have a long term care plan in
Yep.
place or maybe have a retirement
Yeah.
structure in place. And you're subject to that state where that person lives that you employed. So it was that was an eye opener, years ago when we started seeing more of that. And I think COVID really threw that in, but just to have the management on multi-states is huge.
Oh, it's
I
huge.
can see the
And
value there.
we haven't even talked about setting up multi-state tax accounts and paying taxes in each state. And
That's
every
right.
state has different tax mandates and
Not every
different
state like Texas doesn't have a state income
income tax.
tax. So,
Exactly. So then we're getting into the states that have a state income tax. And how do you manage that? And how do you set up all those tax accounts in all those different states and avoid penalties? I mean, so again, we're talking about some of the most important areas in a business that are needed to operate. And if you are not doing these correctly, you're gonna face penalties. You're gonna face, potentially could even be a detriment to your business if you're not operating correctly in these states. So, compliance per state, tax compliance, and overall federal compliance per state is so important that you have to know what's going on. If you're a company that's growing, you're in Texas and you're like, we really want to grow to Arizona, we want to grow to other states, that is a perfect time to speak with a PEO. That's a perfect time because we're national, we're licensed in all states, and we also have tax accounts set up already in every single state. So you don't have to do that.
Very cool. This is I'm real excited that we're discussing that because I know there's probably people that are going to watch this episode or listen to it while they're driving in the radio around San Antonio regarding how these PEOs can really help with that, and I absolutely see the value there. I want to talk about. Let's go ahead and we don't have to go into the weeds on this, but cost pricing. I don't think we need to talk about what it costs, but the savings, the value that you get from there. I mean that ROI. Can you give us an example of that where that's come into play for I'm sure many of your clients?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do coming into a company after we gain discovery, we gain the knowledge of what the employer is facing because every employer is going through different things at different stages of their business development. So we then create a custom solution for that client. We're one of the only PEOs that is able to be flexible enough to create a custom a la carte solution. Once we do that, we then create a financial analysis and we show the client their current state financially, where they're at today, and what it would look like with Engage PEO. Because a lot of these companies are shopping their insurance traditionally, when they are then shopped through the master policy of the PEO, there's significant savings that is involved. So, I mean, medical insurance, we're talking 20, 30%. Workers' comp, I've seen up to 50% savings on
Wow.
workers' comp. This is a significant amount of savings. We're not talking about a couple $100s. We're talking about thousands of dollars. And depending how large your company is going to then increase that savings. But I've walked into companies saving several hundreds of thousands of
I
dollars.
believe it.
And that in itself is so valuable because with the state of the economy and with, some industries are doing better than other industries, cost savings is a big thing right now. Cost savings is, a big topic in businesses. How are we going to lower costs? How are we going to control costs to be able to sustain our growth or to be able to grow the company? And that is where we're able to come in because a lot of times what's cut, Justin, is benefits. A lot
Yeah.
of times what gets cut
No, I see it.
in a business is health insurance because they can't afford it anymore. And if they're under 50, they're not required by law to have it.
Blanca, we're seeing many clients, some of them having to make some tough decisions,
Yep.
and that are affecting and could provide exposure or could hurt retention within the business. But at the same time, we were discussing this before we started recording the show. I mean, when we were seeing increases of, I can count on one hand the amount of single digit increases that we saw out of hundreds of group benefits clients, 50%, 80%, 100 plus percent. And I've got employers who are like, Justin, I mean, am I missing something? Like, listen, the industry is a complete dumpster fire right now on these costs, and even the people that can afford it are like, you have got to be kidding me. So that's been a very sobering moment for our industry, I think, because we've had a challenge with that, where a PEO, like you say, can put together a plan or an offering that can pull them in for lower cost coverage,
Mhm.
because we've been really struggling, and it ebbs and flows, right? I mean, you got some carriers that'll pick up business that could be more attractive than utilizing the PEO benefit, and vice versa. But that's why you need to take a look at the options and lay everything out for a complete review off of that as well. The couple things that I wanted to kind of throw in here into the show, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I'll go ahead and bring up the fact that we're waiting on changes to happen in the industry. Okay, we I had a venting session the past few weeks on the show just because of the challenges we're having. My audience has to put up with me talking about that a little bit, but ICRAs, individual health reimbursement arrangements. That the jury's still out on that if that can become a viable option. when you're weighing a PEO or just, a separate employee benefits plan. The great healthcare plan that the Trump administration, we've got all these bullet points, but we really just don't know what it looks like. Now, I will tell you the breaking news that I want to bring up is last night, the administration launched a Trump RX. And we need to take a look on how that could affect. And when I talked to Blanca about it, she's like, "Man, I didn't see the headline." I was like, "Yeah, Trump
I
launches
missed it.
online." Yeah, I know. Trump launches online prescription drug platform, Trump RX, and you can Google this. You'll see all of it all over the news this weekend, I'm sure. And I kind of plinked around on the website a little bit last night and early this morning. But one quick example, Ozempic. I'm going to do this live on the air right now. I'm at trumprx.gov, and I've got plenty of clients that use Ozempic, and it's at the detriment sometimes of their employee benefits plan, or it could be a Medicare, individual, or an ACA client, individual health insurance client there, or somebody that it was too expensive for coverage, but they still need this medication. The plug-in is $1,000 is the original price, and it's showing a discount of $828 for a
That's
cost of
amazing.
199.
That's amazing.
That's big news.
Yeah, that's huge.
If they are really getting aggressive on this prescription drugs, I am so anxious to see, Blanca, how that will affect the medical underwriting for these benefit plans, the individual plans. This got launched, they're cutting back on Medicare. Well, is this going to help complement, the drug costs and exposure for those Medicare eligibles? So again, I this is going to be a defining year, I think, as far as health insurance, employee benefits for everybody. When you have breaking news, like, I mean, it's every week I've got something new to talk about, and this is
This is
something that
big.
I'm going to dive into this probably much more into the next week's show. But I'm curious. Let's get your hot take on seeing what I'm showing you right now.
Yeah, definitely more to come. I need to do my research as well, but let's just say it works in the way that they're saying it's going to work. That would help, I would say, at least half of my clients
Wow.
because most of the renewals that we're seeing are high are because of high cost prescription drugs. And so when you look at the utilization of a client and you look at what they're utilizing the most, it is prescription drug costs. Now, not all the time, but I would say 50% of those renewals are going to be high cost. Now we get into GLP-1s, there's about 50% of people now that are on this
Yeah, there's a
shot,
lot.
right? There's a lot, and those drugs are very expensive. So, what ends up happening for those that don't know or don't understand the way a group benefit plan works, when you are hitting the plan with these high cost drugs, it then is incurring higher claims. If that supersedes the premium that we're collecting or very close to 100% of the premium, you then get a bad renewal. That's how it works. So getting those high cost drugs off the plan would be a big help. It would impact companies, I think, in such a great
If
way.
they
The
stick the landing
renewals,
on
I
this,
mean,
I
this
mean,
could be big. This could be
but
great.
but the I
This is exciting.
we're gonna hopefully see the health insurance carriers, if this in fact is taking that load
This
off,
is great.
premium should go down. I
Yes.
mean, agreed?
Yes, 100%. 100% premiums will go down.
Real quick, I plugged while Blanca was giving her comment on it, I plugged in Wegovy, the pill, that's out there that a lot of people are using. It's
Yeah,
very popular,
very.
and, retail price on that is typically $1,300, 1,349.02 to be exact. And I'm showing a savings of $1,200.02. The Trump RX price is $149. So a fraction of what a lot of people were having to pay out of pocket. Because keep in mind, some of the carrier plans, even employee benefits plans, do not cover some of these medications, or there's an exclusion. So this, allows people to possibly get back engaged with their individual plan or their employee benefits plan and know they've got some relief. Again, we'll have more news on this, but man,
It's exciting.
that's
Yeah.
exciting. I'm anxious to see how that goes because last week's news, Blanca, I don't know if you saw this. Medicare basically told the insurance carriers, "Hey, by the way, we're going to do like a 0.09% increase on the reimbursement rates for
No.
Medicare going into 2027." So what happened is, Anna, United Healthcare, Aetna, CVS, stocks plummeted because they basically, they're not going to, as we know, costs have risen.
Mhm.
They were expecting, I think, like a 6, 8%, increase, and, the administration said, "No, you're gonna be at a point percentage."
Oh, wow.
So that was, tough news because I got concerned when I saw that the carriers are gonna contract some of those benefits. Now, if this Trump RX feeds into that Medicare exposure on those high tier medications, you know what? Maybe that can affect the individual market on that as well. I don't know. But this is, I get excited when I see this because I think this is going to disrupt some things and possibly provide that value to the consumer as well. Everybody, you're listening to the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. I'm your host, Justin Holland, with Texas State Insurance Services and Palmetto Life Group. We've got a special guest that's joined us for the show. We've been talking everything PEO. We still got some more to discuss off of that. But keep in mind, if you're just tuning in on the show, if you need help with insurance, specifically health insurance, individual employee benefits, talk to us at Texas State Insurance Services 210-880-5316, or visit us online at txstateinsurance.com. And as a reminder, if you've been listening to the show and hearing Blanca out on the PEOs, reach out to Blanca with Engage PEO. Look her up online. She's got the tag of the PEO lady. Trust me, you'll find her online. Get on LinkedIn with her, and let's see if she can provide some value to your company, and not just the business, but the valued employees that you're trying to build up and basically keep afloat and running, because it can be really challenging. We understand that. Blanca understands that as well. So we want to help you where we can. So that is another show identification. We've been kind of hammering out all types of deals. I did a segue outside of a PEO to talk a little bit about ICRA, the breaking news on Trump RX. Trust me, I'll have plenty to talk about on that next week. But I think what I'd like to bring up and discuss with Blanca is, we talked more about technology already, but the accreditations, I think you got to be IRS certified or have specific designations. I'm sure Engage goes above and beyond to have designations that you might not need. Can we talk about, the backup and maybe the checks and balances that y'all do for certifications to give your clients peace of mind on what they're getting from you?
Absolutely. So, when you're working with a PEO, you want to ensure that you're working with a PEO that is not only certified with the IRS, which is called CPEO certification. So you want to work with a CPEO. What that means is that the PEO has gone through rigorous testing and has to release financial reportings to the IRS to be able to get this certification. There's another certification accreditation called ESAC. It's an accreditation where it's a bonding requirement for the PEO.
That's important.
What that means is that the PEO that you're working with is certified and accredited and bonded and insured so that if something were to happen to your money, like your payroll money, it is going to the right place and it's the PEO is actually utilizing that money to pay premiums, to pay your taxes and to pay your payroll. So that's why those accreditations are so important. If you are not working with a CPEO certified PEO, or your PEO lost their certification, which I've heard of recently happening.
Really?
Yes. Just think about if a PEO loses their certification, there must be something really wrong going on because it's hard to lose, right? But ultimately, it's important that you're working with a PEO that is financially sound. Okay, PEO has gotten a bad rap. If you look up, you can look up potential fraud schemes, all kinds of stuff, and all of those PEOs that do that, they're not accredited, they're not certified. And then lastly, you need to make sure you're working with somebody that is certified on the workers' comp end and on the HR. So we're SHRM accredited, and we work with all the appropriate uh, safety safety associations like OSHA. So we're going to be OSHA accredited
Okay.
for the risk and safety side.
I'm assuming data security too is
It,
huge.
yeah, well, I mean, we have increased our data security measures. Obviously, on the employee self-service, we do multi-factor authentication, but just on the manager side and even on the email side, every day I think I see a new method of blocking something where I'm like, I'm not even getting regular emails anymore.
Yep.
But we do a lot of security measures just because we handle some of the most important things like payroll. We haven't really talked a lot about payroll, but payroll is really the bridge that brings PEO together for everything that we offer. Payroll is the most essential part of having a business. If you have a business, you have employees, you have payroll. If you don't get your payroll right and that payroll is not accurate on time, or your vendor didn't pay it, or whatever the case may be, guess what? You're going to have very unhappy employees and you're going to be uncompliant with the law. Whatever state you're in, you have to pay your employees on time and accurately. So payroll is very important. And actually, the PEO industry started with payroll and workers' comp. That's how it all started. So payroll in itself is one of the key areas of compliance.
Yeah.
It's also probably one of the biggest calls that I get is payroll complexity, payroll errors, or I work with so and so. They have messed up our payroll frontwards and backwards. I have upset employees, all the way from tip distribution to tax allocation,
The
overtime.
deductions for the
The
benefits.
benefit deductions are wrong.
Yep.
Overtime is wrong. If you're working over midnight or past midnight, there's a shift differential that is paid or holiday pay. I mean, just think about it. We all are a facet of payroll. Everything that we do is a function of payroll.
Yeah.
So payroll is so important. So if you don't have a true payroll vendor or a payroll expert, you need to start talking to the right people. Yes, it's important to be accredited, but it's important to have somebody that actually understands payroll because payroll is so important. I mean, like you
Yeah.
missed, I was going to say just that you kind of missed one of the most
You're
key
right.
important
That
insurance,
I'm
employee
glad we're bringing that
benefits.
up.
Yeah.
And listen, I mean, payroll's tough. I mean, trying to find the right person. I've had clients where you've got a key payroll person and they're no longer there anymore, whether they're retiring or anything, and you've got systems in place. You know what? You and I visited
I was
a
going to
client
say that.
together
Yes.
that had a very unique situation on how they did their payroll,
Very.
and I think we looked at solution opportunities for them, but that was. You're absolutely right. That is a linchpin, so to speak, on any business off of that. And I remember, I don't know why this popped in my head, Blanca, probably because of the challenges with payroll. I remember I worked for a reasonably sized company. I was in my early 20s down in South Texas and just trying to figure my life out right at the time. And they had a payroll issue, for hundreds of employees. And word travels fast when you
You'd be
don't get
surprised
paid.
how fast you get those
Oh,
calls.
yeah, it comes in very quick. You got people that are sometimes depending on that check to hit at midnight the following day.
Absolutely. Friday
So,
mornings, if my phone is not ringing, I'm doing a good job because that's when
off of the payroll,
the issues come up.
I can see how that can be detrimental, and then if something like that happens, it can be hard to stick the landing on trying to get that trust back when it comes up.
And I think also that's why a lot of companies are scared to go to PEO because of the payroll. So if you have a complex payroll, you have to make sure you're going to work with a company or a partner that knows how to do complex payroll. Right? Complex payroll can be anything from job costing, abilities, how you're taxing, if you have different classes of employees, if you have multiple levels of job costing, if you work on multiple job sites and how you're allocating time, how you're collecting time. I mean, payroll itself could just be a huge topic, but in the sense of insurance, which is what we're focusing on, I mean, insurance is a deduction of payroll, right? So if your payroll is not set up correctly and you don't have your section 125 set up correctly, your payroll's messed up.
Yeah.
Your deductions are messed up. Your
No,
taxes
it's
are
important
messed
for us
up.
to bring this up, and
Yeah,
even
so
with
important.
it's still connected to the insurance and
Yes.
benefits. I mean, you've got deductions off of that, and that's critical. So if you need help on that, make sure you reach out to Blanca with Engage PEO. Look her up online, LinkedIn. You will absolutely find her. If you need direct information, you can reach out to us directly as well here on the show, and we'd love to get you dialed in with Blanca and Engage. This has been fun. We're really
Yeah,
hitting some good topics here. I think
definitely.
we're absolutely on the mission of providing value to our audience off of that. Let's dive in relationship support. We've talked we talked about multi different things throughout our discussion today, but I mean, y'all have a dedicated HR team, claims advocacy. You've got departments that your clients can rely on to to take care of those issues. That workman's comp that we talked about a minute ago, that maybe a employee complaint with the legal department. I mean, do all of them talk together? Do you how easy is it for somebody to engage those services or those key department contacts? I think that's important to bring up too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do it a couple different ways. When you work with us, we're different in the sense that we provide the direct contact to your team members. So you're going to get assigned a team with a specialist. You're going to have a specialist in each specific area. So if you wanted it, you can go directly to your specialist that's assigned. Or if you're not that kind of person, you want to just go to one person, we call it one throat to choke or the bat phone or whatever you want to call it, we assign you an account manager that will then be able to funnel your request to the appropriate team member. Okay, so you could do it those two ways. I would say most of the clients that I'm working with that I bring on that are with a competitor are falling short in this area. Engage prides themselves in boutique level service and having that one on one direct relationship. So you get to know your account manager, you get to know your payroll specialist, you get to know your benefit specialist where you feel comfortable. You could pick up the phone and you have a question in this area, you talk to your person, right? That's rare. Most of the competitors that we have, there's a queue, there's a 1-800 number. They're now outsourcing overseas their support center.
Talking to an AI bot. Yeah,
Now, yeah, you may be talking to an HR bot,
that's
right?
right.
You may be talking to HR AI. You may not even be talking to a person. So this is another big differentiator for our company is that we're relationship driven. We're gonna pick up the phone. I have clients call my personal cell phone all the time with issues, with things that come up, and we get it handled immediately. Our response time, I would say, is best in the industry,
Okay.
where our attorneys and my service team is responding in less than 4 hours. If not, I would say within the first hour, which is astronomically fast. We are freaky fast. I mean, it's the fastest response time. And I've spent half of my career in PEO at a publicly traded company, very large. And I would say some of the clients would not get a response in a week to 2 weeks, and sometimes never would get a response.
Wow.
And so, coming from that environment to now a privately held, boutique level relationship based company, which is how I do my business, it's just such a big difference. I mean, you probably have the same situation, Justin. Your clients trust you. They're going to call you
Yeah.
because that's why they work with you. That's the same way that run my business is my clients work with me because of the knowledge and the service that I can provide, and the team that I have put together is by far the best in the industry.
And back them up, and
That's right.
that's
That's right.
huge.
Yes, that's
The
huge.
I think we got your background at the beginning of the show, Blanca, but I'd like you to kind of just give a little bit more, and I've got a few more questions for you.
Yeah.
Just engage, the company, the backup, the mission there. Can you give us a little insight on engage? You're
Yep.
obviously happily employed there. You're doing a great job for them. I'm curious if you could give us an idea of what makes them different, what you like about it, and some background
So
for Engage.
I'm happy to say that I will be celebrating my 7th year at Engage this year,
Very cool.
and I have been a part of the growth at Engage. We are a hyper growth company. That's one of the pillars that our CEO and president prides themselves in is knowing that we're in hyper growth. Since I started at Engage, we have tripled in size. We are now at 600 employees internally. We have also grown significantly in the Midwest, in the East Coast region, in the Texas region. So we are growing and we are making sure that we have a footprint in every single state. And being part of that growth has been amazing. Being you know, um, just playing an important role in the growth of a company and something that I'm so passionate about because we truly deliver on our clients' expectations. That is our motto. Our motto is expect more. You see it underneath like anything at Engage, or if you go to our website, you're going to see expect more. That's our philosophy. That's our mantra. That's what we live by. That's our mission that we actually deliver on what we say we're going to do.
7 years, I mean, you were
Yeah.
I mean, you went through COVID with them,
Yes, I
I
did.
mean, you saw that disruption and the fact that they've been able to triple, since then, and you've been a part of that growth, that's exciting. That makes it fun.
It
And,
is.
and there no question challenges in
Yes.
that as well. Let's wrap up the show and talk about, who's a good fit, for what you can do. I'm curious if there's specific, companies, industries, maybe size. I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm sure you can help out just about everybody out there. But if you've got an example or anything like that that we can bring in, or not only answer that question, if you got something that you wanted to wrap up the show with that you wanted to bring to the table.
Yeah. So, as far as industries, we do cover all industries. We're not tied or siloed to a vertical per se. Um, I myself and my portfolio of clients have everything from manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, retail distribution, all the way to your white collar law firms, medical practices, private equity firms. So we're pretty diverse in industry, but
Sounds
I,
like it.
I would say a good fit is a couple things. One, you have an aggressive growth plan in your business. You are ready to grow, you are ready to go into different states. You are growth mode, right? That's a good fit. Another great fit for me is an employer that is sitting at right about 40 to 45 employees, that is scared to grow over 50, that has kind of shied away from going over 50 because
A lot of it.
over 50, that's the big
Yeah,
number everybody gets scared
it
about.
is.
So, so I see employers sit at 45 employees for years and years and years. And I ask them, why are you at 45? How long have you been at 45? Why? And the answer is, well, we just don't want to go grow to 50. Well, why is that? Because we're scared of the compliance. Because now we have ACA, we have ALE, we
Clients, you
have
have to offer
FMLA.
affordable insurance. I
Yes.
mean, and I can't blame them.
So those are a perfect fit for us because we're
Good.
helping them guide them through. Once you hit 50, you are considered an applicable large employer and everything changes after that. So that's a perfect fit for us. I kind of just want to share maybe a recent success
Please, yeah,
story.
talk about it.
Um, you know, eh, for whatever reason, I would say because we live in a conservative state, but Texas is known for conservative business owners, very traditional. I see a lot of companies that don't evaluate their benefit strategy in years, 10, 20 plus years. So
I do
one of
too.
it really is true. It's almost, I think, mind blowing to see that when I walk into a company and their premiums are over $1,000 per employee per month. I see it more than I would like. And I asked them that question: when was the last time you evaluated your benefits? Well, they don't. They set it and forget it, and they just let it go until it's unaffordable. So one of the biggest success stories that I recently brought on is a client that was looking to, get rid of their benefits altogether because it was astronomically unaffordable. And when you saw the premiums, you saw it right there on
Can't
paper.
blame them.
Yeah, exactly. So we were able to evaluate that company and bring them onto the master policy, securing hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings, which then enabled the employer to increase their contribution, offer a free plan, so free health insurance to their employees, offer different levels of classes for their employees. And we set up a strategy where then it incentivized their managers and their executives that had been with the company for a long time, right? So then we created kind of an incentive program in itself, created an affordable class for those hourly workers. And then we created a retention strategy for the employees that had been there for many years. So we were able to completely redesign their benefits package. And it was just so powerful because I get emails from that client's employees like, wow, this is
You
amazing.
revitalize. You
Yeah,
you bring a breath of fresh air into that.
yes. It was
I get
so
it.
nice, and it's so nice to see the emails come through, like, what a difference. We feel such a difference working with Engage, working with your team. We see it in our paychecks. We see the money coming back on our paychecks. We see better coverage. Or I went to the doctor, and even the doctor's office was like, "You have great insurance." Getting that feedback from my clients is just it's
No,
amazing. It
I
makes me
think that
feel good.
I think that's a great way to end off the show with that example on the value that Engage PEO and Blanco Bood with the PEO lady have provided their value clients, and that's what it's all about is trying to have those transformative moments for their business, and we're playing the long game. We want them to be clients for years to come. A lot of people out in the industry, they're just trying to get things going quickly. If you do the long and steady, I think it benefits everybody in the long run, so to speak. Again, you're listening to the Mad Insurance Show, making a difference in insurance. I'm your host, Justin Holland, with Texas State Insurance Services and Palmetto Life Group. Had a special guest here today, Blanca Bood with Engage PEO.
Thank
Really
you.
great to have her on the show today. We can't thank you enough for the audience that's listening or watching us online here. Blanca, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you
It's
for
been a
having
great
me.
show.
It was so much fun. Thank you,
Okay, we'll
Justin.
have you back. Okay,
Yes.
take care, everybody.